Happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday. Hello.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Welcome to our latest episode of Monday Noosh. Today we have a special guest, one of my good friends, Jon Edwards. We brought him on, he could talk about everything that he does, and he's in the education system, so we want to really talk to him about how the education system works, the pros, the cons, the ups and downs, that go along with that. He's going to talk about some other projects he has going on the side as well. So without further ado, Jon, welcome.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for
Hi.
having me on.
Hey, Jon, good to have you.
Hi, John. I feel like we need a close-up moment. Everyone say, hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, Jon.
How you doing? I appreciate it. Thank you for the love.
All right, so first things first, what's you guys' Noosh of the week?
Limeade, actually. We chose lemonade, but I had a lot of lime, so.
The Persian in her jumped out.
Yeah.
The Persian limes. The Persian limes you all forgot to use from your fake margaritas that you didn't make
those?
real margaritas.
Those?
Can we start
those.
an episode without
Yeah.
shade being thrown?
one.
Yeah,
No,
right?
I'm never
it's
gonna let
always
you guys-
the shade
Can
that's
we
being
start an
thrown. I don't
episode with the
understand.
right noosh?
Thank you, Mata. Thank you. Even though she has limeade, I'm going to defend her here. Okay, that's fine.
Close it up, okay?
Okay, moving on from that, I have our actual noosh. I have lemonade with nice little lemon slices. I go by our rules. Thank you very much.
I told you guys what I was gonna drink today.
Well,
What
mine
Jon
was
and I were gonna
homemade.
drink. It
Mine-
wasn't.
Mine was homemade
It
too.
wasn't a surprise.
Well, for you, maybe that's an adult lemonade, so we'll let you pass.
It is. It is.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so Armagan, what did you make?
I made lemonade, just your basic water,
straight up
lemon,
lemonade.
sugar. Yep.
Okay, Mata, what do you have?
Limeade.
Limeade.
Same thing, just with limes.
Okay.
More cultural.
Nice
I
rim
quit.
job there, Arta.
I was short on time, so I wasn't able to make mine, but I made a quick stop and got gluten-free, non-GMO, raspberry lemonade.
Was it organic?
I didn't look that far into it. I just grabbed whatever was.
It doesn't matter.
Gluten-free, but you didn't check if it was organic.
Yeah, I checked. That part was on the front. That's all I need to see.
Okay, then it definitely, yeah. It would have
So Jon and I, because we're grown men, we decided that we're gonna drink whiskey neat today. This is actually Crown Royale XR for our people to see.
Interesting.
And
That's a
we're
very
drinking
nice
that
bottle.
neat. With this type of high-end whiskey, you don't put ice, you don't put ginger ale, you don't put a lemon wedge or a lime wedge. You just.
I was gonna
Very
say,
like this.
could you mix Crown Royale with lemonade? Is that a
I would mix the lower end Crown
Yes.
Royale, not this.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to mix. If your bottle is over like $50, in this case, this one's over $100. You don't want to mix.
Subtle flex.
Subtle.
Subtle.
You don't want to mix anything with. I learned this when I was probably 21, 22. Someone had offered me, a drink of this high-end scotch, and back then I would always drink whiskey and Coke together. And it's like, can I get some Coke with it? He's like, if you're gonna drink Coke with it, I'm not giving you this whiskey, because high-end stuff needs to be, drank as it is, not diluted with anything.
I learned that with Blue Label, actually.
Yeah, Blue Label's
Yeah,
another
Johnny
one.
Walker is one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a Johnny Walker Explorer Club Green Label, which is just one notch under blue. And that one, you just got to drink neat. I think the rule of thumb, if the bottle's over $50, drink it neat.
Good to
You
know.
don't buy a Ferrari and drive it like a Fiat.
Boom.
Correct.
You
There
don't
you
put
go.
a bumper sticker on a Bentley.
There
Correct.
you go. Okay.
No.
Before
All right,
we
guys.
go on, let's,
Or
of
not yet.
course, cheers to our guest this week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheers,
you, Jon, for
everyone.
coming on.
I spilled. Okay. That's enough.
Let it burn.
Our audio listeners now know that you spilled.
This is a podcast. They have to know what's going on. I have to tell them.
I'm not on over under half of your wardrobe that has a food or drink stain on it.
Huh?
Over or
Over,
under?
you guys.
No way.
I cannot own white clothing because every time I wear white clothing, immediately within the first 10
Like white
minutes,
pants. White pants are the worst. I'll
No.
I
vouch.
love white pants.
But why is that?
Oh, I
though?
love them, but they just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always burn myself when I cook. It could be like eggs and I'll do something. I'm very just clumsy, but I'll make good food. It's just
Yeah, I'm not spilling this.
Oh,
gonna get hurt in the
There's
process.
There's just some collateral damage in the process.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not spilling a drop.
And even if you did, you'd probably lick it up.
There you go.
I
5
get a
seconds.
straw. You know, we're classy here.
Paper straw.
Save the
There you go.
turtles.
Try to
Metal
save
straw.
the environment.
Save the turtles. All right.
Okay.
So, John, now that we got everybody's drink in order,
Mm-hmm.
take it away.
All
Tell
right,
us a little about yourself.
All right, so my name's Jon Edwards. I started in education right after college during the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009.
Great times.
I was lucky enough to get a job as a substitute teacher in my old high school, and from there I became a teacher, a football coach, a behavior specialist. Then I'm now at a different school where I became an assistant principal, and I've been doing this will be my third year as an assistant principal this upcoming school year. So that's the part of me there. I have a daughter. She's going to be entering kindergarten this year.
Cute daughter.
Yeah.
Wait, so will you get to the point during this and talk about how you feel about COVID-19 and sending your daughter to school?
I have no problem talking about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
If you ask, I will.
Let's go.
I'm an
Get
open
into the
book.
thick
I
of
believe in
things.
being a truth teller.
Yeah.
So along with that, I've dabbled in different entrepreneurial things throughout. I grew up in a family that was very much like an employee mindset culture. And I always did identify with it, but I didn't know why. And then what it was I tried different things that were entrepreneurial based, but then they were still kind of like jobs. And like I have this whole thing on my Instagram where I talk about the cash flow quadrant. Like sometimes even being self-employed is still being an employee to your own company. And just so like the whole concept of that, I started teaching myself the stock market during COVID and learning how to trade and have money work for itself. I got into music last summer around this time. I've always wanted to be a rapper when I was like a kid, right? But my parents like, that's not a real job. You can't be a rapper. And so I figured like now that I'm an assistant principal, what better time than to do what I want to do? Because it's like why can't I? I did things the right way. So
Right.
this is what I want to do now.
Which everything you're saying is actually something that we've touched on in a lot of our previous episodes. This mindset of like you can't go for what you actually want to do, your passion. Like you need to go for that 9-to-5 financially stable job and have that ready to go with your standard for your college education, and then do what you want to do, which is like a lot of our parents and our culture also have that mindset, but it's nice to see that like you, like us, has that job and then is doing things on the side that you love to do. So
yeah, it's important, and for me, it's really to show. If I tell kids that they can be what they want to be, I can't not do the things that I see. Like I look in the mirror that I know I want to be doing and not do them.
Right. You can't look them in the eyes and not live that life. That you give out advice on.
Exactly.
So John, let me ask you, what was your idea what was your career path initially like when you started this journey on being in the education system? Because I know you have all your degrees are in education, right?
No, none of my degrees are in education.
Okay.
Or my master's is. My bachelor's degree is in psychology. My goal was to I wanted to get into law. Potentially, I almost actually applied for the FBI when they weren't hiring teachers. Because a couple of the electives I had took was psychology of criminals, psychology and law, stuff like that. Like, I took a lot of psychology and law and crime-based classes.
Right.
This is a little off topic, but do you like Criminal Minds? Do you watch Criminal Minds?
I don't. So here's the thing, I don't watch it because I don't know why I don't watch it, but
it's
I took
so
a
good.
whole course on that, like on the criminal thinking errors.
So good.
So,
I recommend one. It's definitely Criminal Minds.
yeah, I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
My original path was psychology, and then I actually had no goals or wanting to be a teacher. My principal and mentor had told me that, like, I'm like, yeah, I want to do psychology, I want to help kids, I want to do this, do that, maybe be a guidance counselor or therapist. And he was like, listen, if you really want to be those things, you can do all of that as an administrator more than any other role. I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, in the school system, if you're a guidance counselor, you're going to be mostly doing testing and IEPs and, educational tasks, not actually having the time devoted to the therapeutic skill set you have. So he's like, as an administrator, you have kind of more freedom to structure your day that's best for your school and like be the role that you need to be.
Okay, so as an administrator, how much pull do you actually have as far as what's being taught how it's being taught, and I guess, those two things are really it. I mean, how much pull do you genuinely have?
So legally, 0. So curriculum is based by the state standards, which is
right.
Right.
Teachers, as long as they are teaching within the curriculum standards, can do whatever they technically want, so as long as their plan is linked to a standard.
Okay, so the delivery could be whatever the school or the teacher decides to do, but as long as they're delivering what the state wants to deliver.
As long as it's a curriculum, there's really nothing I can say on the method of how. We can give suggestions. We do trainings, and we try to teach best practices. But if somebody chooses to do things their way, teachers have that autonomy by contract to do that.
Okay, so now looking as an educator, because you and I were only a year apart.
Yeah.
So we basically grew up in the same education system.
Correct.
How did you guys meet?
We met through a mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like recently, or has
No,
it been?
no.
Back
This
in college.
was, yeah.
Okay.
2007?
2007, 8.
Okay, so while this was going on for you, you guys had met. Okay.
Yeah, I was still in college when we met.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We both met at early years in college. John, where'd you go to college again?
St. Lawrence University. I went all the way to upstate New York. Played football there. I was there on scholarship. I chose it mainly for the academic money that I was getting, because that is guaranteed. And that was at an era in time where there was a lot of NCAA over signing of athletes, which isn't talked about a lot. But essentially what that is let's say there's 25 scholarships. They're going to sign 30 kids on signing day.
Oh, and then what happens?
And they're going to go in the summer, and they're not going to be there in the fall.
So they just get dismissed.
Lost in the sauce.
Interesting.
And now you teach in high school, right?
Yeah, I'm in high school.
High school.
So, okay, I have a bunch of questions, but my first one, and I know this probably changes day to day, but if someone wanted to, follow your footsteps and be an assistant principal, what would you say a day in your life in that role is like? Obviously it changes every day, but some of the things you have to do all the time.
It is one of the things that literally, it sounds so cliche. There's not one day that is identical or similar to any other day.
Right.
Because essentially we literally put out fires, and while we have our tasks to do. So we're all over certain different areas of the school. You have to look at a school as a big business, because it is. There's 300 employees, there's 2,000 students, and I may be supervising over a whole grade level and 30 teachers. So that's technically maybe about 1,000 people under my responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So I'll get to work. Safety and security, obviously, after Stoneman Douglas has been a major first concern. So I'm doing perimeter checks. I'm looking at gates. I'm walking the campus, looking for any unusual objects, doing a whole safety walk. Then it's making sure buses are on time, parent pickup is set up on time, making sure that all the teachers are at work on time, because the substitutes is an issue. There's a shortage of subs every day in our county.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a factory. You got to make sure every moving part is
set up, and you're doing it at
rapid speed.
It's in 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes of just nonstop this. And obviously at any moment in time, something could change. A kid could slip and fall in the cafeteria. A fight could start. This could happen. A teacher could get in a car accident. All of these variables happen on the daily, to where there's a little wrench thrown in the system.
Yeah.
And you'll sit down, reset, and, schedule your day on really you. We'll have a team meeting, and then where we go over the major things that need to get done. And then you have your long list of projects that you have to tackle. And then it's really about learning how to delegate tasks, follow through, supervise them, and then if so, doing them yourself if it needs to be done. So it's a managerial based job with the blend of being an instructional person in the classroom. So you can.
So you wear a lot of hats, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like, obviously being in an administrative position, at whether it's a school or any company, you have different responsibilities.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can go be a teacher. Again, I'm not taking away that being a teacher is I'm not saying it's an easy job. I'm just saying it's kind of that's your task. Perfect that craft. Okay. Whereas John has to jump in and know 1,000 different things from 1,000 different aspects
Correct.
of the school. Correct me if I'm wrong, the history teacher doesn't really need to know what the parent pick-off, drop-off issue is unless they're the ones, manning those stations.
Right, or what to do if a fire door is an opening. Like, you don't have to, you just call somebody, and I have to figure out. Right. And then that's another thing, too. Like, so if a teacher's missing and there's no sub, we go teach the class, too.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, like, it's like, oh, I got to go teach band today. Well, go teach band.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, so, like, it's briefly talking about teaching, from this, what I've learned, like, there's a standard formula that just works in teaching people how to do anything. I don't care if it's in the school system, in corporate America. Like, there's certain things that are good learning principles, period. Mm-hmm. And once you're good at that, you can technically teach any topic. You don't have to be an expert at it.
Once you get the fundamentals down.
You have to know how to facilitate learning. You don't have to be an expert in an area.
Does that translate teaching in the college, or is that more of a K through 12 thing?
Yeah.
No, that's everything. I mean, because if you even look at college, right, like, at least major universities, I mean, a lot of your daily teacher is a student, a grad student. Like,
True.
Content experts aren't always good teachers. Like, there's a lot of professors that don't know how to teach.
Yeah,
they know everything about it, but doesn't mean they know the delivery.
There's a whole pedagogy and a science of teaching, and then there's being a content expert. Mm-hmm. And, like, the goal would be to have both, like, a content expert that understands how to teach. But sometimes you can take a person who doesn't know anything about a topic, and kids will learn that subject.
Thank you.
I taught history. I never took a history class in college. It's the first class I taught.
Okay, let's talk about history class for a second. There's been a lot of things going on in the news about what's actually being taught in history class versus what actually happened.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Okay. I remember what I learned in history class.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered all the things I learned on my own outside of history class.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Why?
Well, it's because it's so comfortable when you don't know to teach the book. Because it's
I guess the deeper question is, why is the book omitting so many important things?
Well, all right. So now you're getting into my
opened up a really big
open up a can of worms. But I'm okay.
Tell us your thoughts, your real thoughts.
All right, here's my personal opinion about that. You have to look at the school system as a greater thing. I'm not talking about one school in particular. Like, the idea of public schooling is to get you ready to be a average citizen in the country.
Right.
The formula for schools hasn't changed since the 50s.
Which is insane.
So is the idea of college to make you above average?
Well, right. That's what they tell you to.
I don't think the idea, college is supposed to make you above average. I think college is the same thing that John's saying about K through 12. I think they also, in college, you learn from textbooks, unless you have an extraordinary professor who tells you the facts outside of what the textbook that he's teaching you from, or he or she.
And most good professors do.
So
you would hope
or they write their own textbook. So
exactly. But
you'll get a handful of ones that just read straight from the board, and it's like, I can't
go through a PowerPoint or whatever it is. Yeah.
But
so
I don't think
for me, I didn't have that experience in college. So I went to a very small school. I was research based, and we had to all do research.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Otherwise, so many like math teachers who just stand there on the board and they just write. And they write the whole class, and that's it. There's no explanation. They just.
I would say teaching's gotten better since we were in school. Even if
I was gonna follow up with that. I was saying, me coming up in the school system, whatever. During that time, it was all about standardized testing. You gotta just learn for the tests. FCAT, whatever. And now I guess they replaced FCAT. There is still standardized testing in Florida per se.
Yeah. It's just a different name now.
But it's just a different name. But I wondered if now they push to try to actually educate these kids on, real life problems and solutions, or is it still kind of following the same model of we're going to have a test at the end of the year and everyone prepare for that because we got to look good, for state budgets and whatnot.
Right. See, I went to a private school and we never had to take the FCAT or any of those types of.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I'm going to, before I let John say, I feel like I'm a little bit biased because my mom's a teacher. So I kind of hear about the things she has to go through daily and how other teachers are. Even though she teaches elementary, I mean, the things that teachers go through and the strict standards and all this stuff that they have. Yeah, all the stuff they have to teach by, I'm like, if this is your schedule that you have to give the kids for the day, how are they going to learn anything? And she's like, you'd be surprised. So many teachers don't even go by this. And I walk into their classroom and half the time the kids are just playing board games because the teacher doesn't feel like going by the show. Exactly. Okay. They don't feel like going by that.
All right, John. So I have a question about the perception of parent-teacher conferences now versus when we were in school, okay?
Ooh.
Is the perception accurate that when we were in school, our parents would come at us if we weren't performing in school? And is the perception correct now that the parents go at the teachers when their kids aren't performing in school?
I get a mix.
Okay.
For me, I have some old school parents who still under the notion that you're always wrong, teacher is right. And then I have some parents who enable their child. Like, it's just either, like, I actually get a mix.
Okay.
I would say in my previous school, I didn't get much of a mix. It was mostly the teacher's fault.
Well, yeah, because again, it goes to where the demographics of the school was. His first high school he taught at was in a very rich neighborhood.
Right.
The privileged people who think that they didn't do anything wrong, and
right, and now he teaches more in kind of like a more middle class neighborhood versus an upper middle class neighborhood. So the variety changes.
It's different now.
We all grew up with parents who, the teacher could have done anything and our parents would always vouch for them. It was never like
it was always like yeah, it was always our fault. Like, oh, you probably didn't do your homework right. Oh, you probably were talking too much. Oh, this. Oh,
if that happened to every other kid, that doesn't matter. Like, it should have happened to you.
Or in you guys' cases, you were probably on your phones in high school.
No.
My high school, I'm gonna be really honest, was like I feel like I was getting babysat. Like, it was like a drop off, like.
So for context, Mata was in a private high school.
Yeah. Private Catholic high school. So you could imagine, like, I would order sushi into like my freshman PE teacher's classroom and just like skip all my classes for a day and just go, like, hang out with her and watch Friends. Yeah, like, it wasn't like, I was legit getting like paying them to babysit.
So I would say the majority of the parents in Mata's high school would blame the teacher.
Yeah. Except for Mata's parents.
That's what I'm saying. Except for Mata, they would blame the teacher.
Yeah. And Arta and I didn't really go to.
We didn't go to high school.
Yeah. We went to high school for 1 year, but it wasn't even real high school.
Not even.
And then we just went to college in 10th grade. So it was.
Starting at 15 years old, we started college.
Subtle flex.
That's a major flex. What do you mean? Subtle flex. That's awesome.
Not even. Regretted terribly.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Social skills?
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, my other friends that went to that school would tell me is like, they would be like, I'm living like vicariously through you. Like, your prom, your homecoming, just like football, everything. They'd be like, and I'd take them. I'd be like, yeah, like, they go here, but that is something they always said.
Also, Arta, you were like the second graduating class of the second or third. So you only had
we were the fourth. So the first graduating class maybe had 3 graduates.
Yeah.
Then it was like 5, then maybe 10. And our class was 20 that graduated. Now the kids in high school, they have like 150 to 200 kids now in the high school.
Right. Because my grade was 78 kids. So it was a bit better than you guys.
How many teachers?
Well, what do you, it was the
they
classic 7. It was for 9th grade. It was the classic standard.
The regular curriculum, math, science, history,
gym, music, choir, all that stuff, Spanish, whatever. But then
how many people per classroom? What is it, like 10 people across?
We would all go together. Well, anyways.
For ours,
all moved together.
For ours, it was split into 3 different groups. So like there was 20 something of us, and we all had basically the same science period, same math. There was only one teacher.
So the ratios were the same as far as students to teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to those can of worms. So we know that
you're talking about the history part, right?
The history part.
Yeah.
So we know that we what's in the book is what the teachers have to teach for the most part.
Wrong, actually.
Well, I'm saying what the state gives you the book. The state gives you the book, and the state tells you teach them XYZ from the book. No.
So here's the thing.
Okay, tell me.
I personally threw away my textbooks when I taught history. Threw it out the door first day of class. I said, we're not using the textbook. We're using the standards. 2 different things. So the standards, you have a group of people that write the book based on the standards. Right? So what do they do for their knowledge base? These are Floridians. So they look up scholarly articles and do this, and then they write their interpretation as fact from that. So I'm like, we're gonna skip the middleman
and go right to the.
And we're going right to the source of the scholarly articles in my class. textbook out the door.
So how would that
I'm
work?
like, how can you learn about world history from a perspective of a Floridian
Right.
and it be accurate? That doesn't make sense.
Or would you rather learn from a perspective of an actual historian?
Yeah, like, I mean, I want to hear about a historian from Germany's article about something translated into English.
Right.
I want to hear about that.
Exactly.
So how would you?
World War II.
So instead of a textbook, you would just find all these articles and resources and just teach those, and with like handouts and whatnots and.
Right. I give out articles.
Oh,
Those would be
okay.
the readings.
So in terms of
Yeah,
quizzing or
that.
testing them, do you make that up yourself, or is there a certain pool of questions that you have
So
to?
we get resources. Like, so my whole thing was this. My personal belief is I'm very like free choice person, like less government control.
Right.
I mean, so I guess you say I'm extremely conservative when it comes to education. Like, I don't believe in any government influence over the teacher. I think the teacher should have that standard to be the expert in both content and
Delivery.
delivery. That's like the ideal teacher. So I literally became a mini historian and just read a lot about history to the part where I could confidently talk about things that you wouldn't find in your textbook. And that was the way I taught my class. And it's amazing how kids that normally don't test well and do well, there's so much research that shows that what kids perform well in when it's culturally relevant to them.
Correct.
From that angle, right? So, you know, if most of the stuff in textbooks is written from a rural American perspective, like if you grew in a rural area on a farm, you know, like that type of mindset. If you look at the reading samples in standardized tests,
Mm-hmm.
it always has to do with like experience. If you have that experience, you're going to do better all the way based off that alone. So
Right.
when you bring culturally relevant things to kids and let kids pick the resources, it's a whole different ballgame. So I would give kids the standards and say, I need you to go find the resources that fit that and make them do their own research.
Well, now I guess it's easier with the technology
Correct.
at their fingertips. With
Super.
us, we would either go to the computer lab,
Right.
or go to the library and pull up an encyclopedia, or
Mhm.
go pull up those history books. So John and I, you know, even though we're all, you know, 5 to 10 years apart in age, John and I have a completely different learning experience than you guys did.
Yeah.
Because we had to
Yeah.
actually go physically find these different things.
Yeah, I didn't get an online database till college. We had it in high school, but like, nobody knew how to use it.
Okay, so one thing, John, like you're saying how, you know, everything that's in the questions in the exams or in the textbook, it's assuming you grew up a certain way and you had a certain lifestyle and you're a certain type of person. But something that's crazy, like when we would take tests when I was younger, even though this sounds so stupid, the names in the questions, they would
Like
all be
Sally
like,
and Billy.
Sally, Kevin went to the market and got 3 apples and 2 bananas. How much did Kevin spend? Or Mary or Kate or all these things. And I was like, I'm never going to see my name or my other friends' names that are all not completely white American. I'm never going to see their names or our names in any test questions. So I remember the first time I saw a name that wasn't a white American name was when I took the SAT in 11th grade, and the name Mohammed was in the test question. And my first initial thought was they go and pick the most basic name, the most generic.
It's the most common name in the world.
Exactly. They pick, like it took them this long for one to have like one name in an SAT question. So think about all the other kids growing up who don't see any representation of who they are and their families.
Are you just upset you couldn't find your name at Disney World on one of those
Listen,
tests?
I can't find my name anywhere. Okay.
They have those Instagram things going on right now that everyone's been reposting those stories, and it's
with
like
the
Kate,
food.
Alex, Mia, and I'm like, yeah, this is never
I
gonna
cannot find
for,
my
like,
name.
animals.
I spent 20 minutes the other day on an Instagram chain of what food are you, and I couldn't even find my middle name on there, let alone my actual name.
So going off the point she was saying, so year after year, I remember from, I want to say about 4th grade on through senior year, right? We would take, I want to say it was always about 4 weeks of curriculum from my memory. I don't know, it could have been shorter, it could have been longer. And we would talk about the Holocaust and the atrocious events that it was. That's fine. Now, why is it that we learned about that atrocity, but didn't learn in detail about what happened right here in the United States with Black people and slavery and the South and the Confederacy, and also to Native Americans, and also to women's suffrage and all these different things that we just learn about that now even there was some things that I had no idea that happened that I just learned in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
You know what it is I would explain this to kids. I used to teach about slavery in my psychology class. I used to fit it in however I could. Like, oh, that standard talks about that. All right, perfect. Slavery conversation. Like, that was my mindset. Not a lot of people are going to do that because they're afraid of the fallback. I'm not afraid of that. There's really losing a job is not the biggest fear to me. It's just not. So I'd rather be a truth teller. Talking about what you're saying, you're absolutely right. There's been so many genocides. Don't get talk about history. Rape of Nanking, China,
the Armenian genocide.
Africa is still going on right now. Still slave trade in Africa right now.
Apartheid.
Like, that's like a small little nugget of a chapter. Put it this way: African history is one chapter in the textbook. A continent's history, not a country. The history of a whole continent, is in one chapter, and then you have a whole chapter on a Roman Empire and a whole chapter on the Greek Empire. That alone tells you. But like, America is based off of those two empires.
Correct.
The Greek system is infused in our college. Like it's literally like a reflection of those two.
The founding fathers decided that they're going to take the best of each system throughout history and make the United States. Okay?
Not even the best of each system, because the Mayans and the Olmecs had more sophisticated systems than the Greek.
And I'm not talking about culturally the best. I'm just talking about government-wise.
But realistically, democracy came from Native Americans. Okay. That wasn't even like that. We don't have a democracy. We're a republic.
That's true.
We use that term, but the
original, back then, the original Democrats were actually the Republicans.
Yeah, they had different parties. Like Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, but they had liberal views.
So that never changed, actually, guys. I'll go into that. If you really
All right, go into it. Please go into it.
So that is a facade that has never changed. The Democratic Party has always been the party of slave owners. And it still is.
Really?
Yes.
I'm learning a lot right now.
The original Republicans were black.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But now it's the opposite.
Never changed. Because if you look at the principles of the African American community, it's the principles of the Republicans. Like, really look at it. I remember too, I'm very conservative. We don't like government control. We were slaves. Like, we don't like that. Yeah. The biggest dupe in American history, which never gets talked about, like you said, like, is the redlining that happened.
The gerrymandering.
Yeah, I was going to talk about
gerrymandering. So, like, I'll give you the history lesson. See, I was taught history through my grandmother's eyes, who grew up as a native in Tampa, and she was born in 1920.
Oh, okay.
So when my grandma grew up during segregation, she talks about segregation being the best thing for America. Desegregation was one of the biggest issues in our community, because it was the shutdown of black business and integration into white business, and then giving them the control of our school system, which we had the control of.
Yeah.
So now what happens? You're not learning your history anymore again.
Because it's
literally like slavery all over again.
Yeah.
So
just like what happened in Tulsa, you guys had your own black stock.
Oh, exactly.
Wall Street.
Yeah. All black people were business owners, because you know why? When slavery ended, they're the ones who built the country. They built the buildings. They built the industries. They built it. So they knew how to build their own country or society, essentially, and it was thriving. My uncle, my great uncle, my grandma's brother, owned a hotel in Louisiana that's a Sheraton right now. Like, he owned a black radio station. Like, all of those things got shut down during desegregation. So what happens is, just like gentrification right now.
Because I guess on the internet, what you're saying is, when desegregation happened, whites didn't come into black businesses. Black businesses had to
dissolve almost.
Be
a part of the white business.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the dupe. Here's the whole dupe in the system. They'll buy out your business and then rather than not let you get a new loan for something else.
So like, they're gonna gentrification.
It's gentrification without allowing you to. Now you have cash with nowhere to put it.
Yeah,
it's not giving you the mortgages. So they'll come to your house and they're gonna. My grandmother's house. My great grandfather built that house with his bare hands. It was bought for 10 times its value to turn into a shopping plaza or whatever. So what happened? Great grandma got a fat check. Okay, guess what? Now she's got this fat check. She wants to go live in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, right.
They don't allow her now. So now she has money and no house that she can buy, because they just sold her house. And that's what happened.
And it's still a problem.
Yeah, there was this with the protest going on about 2 months ago, or when was it? Yeah, 2 months ago, there was this like 3-minute cartoon video going around showing how like the racism happening now is systemic, because years and years ago, like the great grandparents of a white child now and a black child now had to go through all of like what you're saying with the mortgages and being able to buy a house and getting kicked out of where they live. All of that affects how they live now, which is why
it's about generational wealth.
Correct. And if you didn't sell your house, guess what happened? Somebody would end up hanging on a tree in front of your house. So you're going to sell your house. So, and then what the Democrats do is really disguise themselves as coming to help you. We're for you. We're going to build the housing projects. We're going to do this. We're going to give you assistance. But guess what? To qualify for this assistance to get this house, a man can't live in the house.
Or we have to come and check every day or week to see if the children
check to see if a man's in the house or not. So what does that do? It breaks up the family unit. Like there's a whole systemic process for that.
Well, what were the questions that? Okay, so what was it that they passed a law that black men, this is before women can even vote, black men can vote, but they have to take a cognitive test?
Right.
How many bubbles on a bar of soap? Something like that?
Yeah, like random, like.
How many strands of hair on a head of hair?
I'm sorry, but I feel like white voters nowadays need to have some kind of like common sense test. I don't think it's.
Well,
I think it's all the crazies now.
Here's the thing about voting, and like I'm gonna just throw this out there, and it's gonna be a can of worms, and maybe you guys talk about another day. Voting is just a Masonic ritual. Period.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, it's just tricking.
Until we have a strictly popular vote.
Correct. The whole electoral college, I think, is so outdated.
That concept, we have technology now. It's just a ritual. It's a popularity contest. It's a ritual.
You can have, like, people say, if you could do your taxes online, do all these important things online, why can't you vote online? Now, I get it do you know how little actual voter fraud there is based on, like, I'm not talking about, now we were talking about, I don't want to get into it too much about Russia. Russia didn't hack the actual voting process. They hacked the brainwashing of
propaganda.
Propaganda.
They unleashed all the Twitter bots.
It's actually very hard to hack our actual voting system.
Right. So it's so old.
Yeah, it's analog.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's talk about that miscount in Florida with the Bush and Gore.
The hanging chads. See, I remember I was I think you would have been in 7th grade, I think. I was in 6th grade when that happened.
I remember that.
I remember my social studies teacher just losing his shit over this whole thing. Okay. It was such a national embarrassment.
I haven't heard of what it was.
It was bad. It was like, because here's the thing about voting, right? Absentee ballots only get counted if the regular polls are within a certain number.
That's insane.
Which is kind of crazy, because who's doing absentee ballots? College students and elderly people.
Yeah.
Typically what?
And people who can't
typically those are the people that vote left, and so that's why you have a lot of the people on the right.
Those don't get counted
voting
unless the actual polling.
It's all the margins.
I just remember, I think it was 2 years ago when elections were happening for like governor of Georgia. And I remember a lot of polling people in line at the polling stations, or whatever you want to call it. They were in line for hours. And I guess you're still supposed to let people in, even if that polling place closes.
As long as you're in line,
but before that time.
Before the time.
There's a lot of voter suppression.
Yeah, and there were some people in line for 2 hours, and then at 8 o'clock they're like, "Oh, kicking everyone out." And they're like, "We've been in line for 2 hours, and we don't care. We're closing. That's it." And because they all knew that all those people clearly were gonna vote left, and it's a red state, so it's crazy.
Yeah, and then you have polling stations closing, and then you end up with 50,000 voters having to vote at one polling station, which. It's not going to happen.
Kentucky doing that crazy.
That's the thing. In rural areas, polling station. In rural areas, you only have 1 or 2 voting areas. So if someone doesn't have access to car or public transportation, there's no way for them to get out to that area to vote.
There's communities in rural areas where kids are not going to school because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
they don't have
there's no bus routes, nothing that takes to the area.
So there's a lot of heavy stuff that we could talk about: the education system, how history was taught, goes into voting. So why don't I ask this question?
Well, okay.
Go ahead. You got a question, Amara?
Well, I don't know what your questions, but I have a few questions more on the lighter side for him.
Well, that's what I was getting to as well.
Yeah. So, okay, my first question, this might not be super light, but I'm going to go into it. So you said you're an assistant principal and then you also do all of these other side jobs on the side. Like, how do you manage doing all of that? And how do you motivate yourself to keep going to do all that? Because being an assistant principal itself sounds extremely hectic and stressful. So like, what do you do to organize yourself and your thoughts and keep going?
Two things: learning how to say no.
Oh,
is
no.
important.
Okay.
Like saying no is a skill that I think isn't taught either. Like we're taught to like always want to please and like be yes men and women, but like saying no and having boundaries, number one. Like there's certain things I'm not doing after a certain time. Like no.
We're taught to obey our oppressors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's like actually a thing in our culture where like it's rude to say no. Like your house should always be open to guests. You should always, give them your all. Even if you're super tired and someone asks you to do something, you do it for them because it's
still
rude.
Gotta just throw out the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I understand that. Like I get it culturally. It's just from like to answer your question.
Right. So that was one. Number two, what's the second one?
Taking the monkey off your back. So like it's a great book I read. It's like the 1 minute monkey or something like that. One of my mentors suggested it because he saw that I was like running around like, he's like, you gotta like put work back on people bringing you work. Like take the monkey off your back. So it's like, hey, Mr. Edwards, I have send me an email about that.
Okay.
Like, oh, that's my favorite response to people. Send me an email and they never send you the email. So
because it wasn't important.
They figure it out.
Or it's like it's putting a lot of times people already have the answers to the questions they're asking. And so it's really redirecting them to find their own answers. And when you do it with dignity, it empowers people. So it's like if a teacher's like, oh, I don't know if I can do this or this or that, like, what do you think is best? Like I'll just ask them that. What do you think is best? Well, I think this is blah, blah. I'm like, well, sounds like you know your answer already. Good job. I like it. And then like that way I don't have to make the decision. And so it just gives me more mental. I think I saw a study like a principal makes 10,000 decisions a day and an assistant principal makes like 7 or 5 or something like that. So like the whole goal is like the less decisions you make in your day, the less fatigue you're going to feel at the end of it to do other things. So like I lower my decisions. Right. So like with my clothing also too, like I'm very minimal with like I wear the same stuff. I have like 10 of the same shirt, like 5 of the same.
Try to instill quality into every aspect instead of just getting a lot of it, or basically learn how to delegate. It's not
learning how to delegate.
No, it's about don't come at me with a problem. Come at me with a solution.
And then that gives you more.
Right.
And then
it's teaching people to be solution based around you.
So if you come with a solution, maybe we can have a constructive conversation and how that solution is going to work and how you can apply it. Don't just say, I don't like this color being blue. Come with me to say, I don't like this blue, but I think
we should do so and so. Yeah.
Right. And honestly, then another part of it is honestly just sacrificing time. It is what it is. Like if you have certain goals, like I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. and do this, or I'm not.
Right.
But like Maya Angelou used to wake up like 3 a.m. every day to write, and then go to her job until she didn't have to go to her job anymore. Like it just at some point you have to just decide, like I'm gonna sacrifice some time to get years ahead of something for the future.
All right. I have another question.
Wait, Mata had a question.
Mata, you go ahead.
Well, mine might be a little bit towards the end because they're more like lighthearted questions.
Go for it.
Go for it now.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I want to know like I don't know if craziest is the term, but like kind of best experience you've had.
Best?
Craziest. Craziest.
That was the question I wanted. That was
what aspect? Like what aspect?
I think she means, well, I was going to ask that in regards to like students, teachers, anything wild and crazy you experienced where you were like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. Right, Mata? I think that's
One of the wildest things I've ever been a part of, even to this day, like, and it's a ritual at my old school. It's wild. Every year when the seniors leave school, they do a shaving cream party.
Oh, we did that.
And with 5,000 kids and throwing shaving cream and this and that, like it's no matter how much you control it,
it's uncontrollable.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And then
so what is this shaving?
What is it?
One year we had Fluoride surprise and come to the school and give us a surprise concert. So then it was nuts. Like it was just pandemonium, and it was a good time. But it was
what is it though? They like literally are in a field?
Pack their bag of shaving cream on the last day, and then they just go nuts.
We had like some kids who had trucks in the parking lot. The whole back of the truck would just be shaving cream. So people were like jumping in it.
So that's the thing. Like, it's amazing to see it get clean. it's so much shaving cream, you need lawn blowers to like blow it off the ground.
So it's literally all over the school, just shaving cream.
No, we keep it in the patio.
Okay.
But it's just so like we learned how to contain it. Because at first kids were around at school, like, so, all right, we're gonna let you do it.
You got shaving cream in the pool,
and it became a tradition.
You see what we're missing, Arta? We missed freaking shaving cream day at a normal high school.
Did you guys not have a senior prank?
No, we didn't have anything. Well, my grade didn't have anything. I think my sister's grade had like, some brunch thing where you decorate your senior crown or something. But it was stupid. Like nobody shows up to these things at our school because all they want to do is work.
No, the prank was they just gave us their diploma and said good luck.
Yeah, literally. There was no fun.
Enjoy the debt. So I have a couple hard-hitting questions now. Since I went to public school, I don't think any of you went to public high school. Is the apple juice game still strong?
No, actually, it kind of changed a little bit. You know, they have the carrot juice now.
Do you think it's like sweeter now?
Carrot juice?
I feel like
with carrot juice now.
So there's healthier options.
Can you speak?
Oh yeah, because after Michelle Obama.
Oh, Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
So the rice is now brown rice. The bread is always wheat, no matter what. Biscuits, all that.
By the way, there's no really difference between brown and white, right?
I know, but it looks better.
It's the perception, buddy. It's the perception.
So we're just teaching these kids a false perception.
Do the kids know how to do taxes now?
If they took my econ class, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that's so annoying.
I taught it in my econ class by hand using the actual charts.
Can they change a tire?
So we had an auto shop. And that program ended now. But we have, at my school, we have a construction. And we have kids actually getting hired.
How is your arts system?
What was that, Mata?
How was your like arts and everything, you know?
I think arts, it depends on the person you have, but it's always valued. It's just
Oh, not the first to get the budget cut?
No, it's not the first to get the budget cut. What the problem with arts is
the band geeks got that one.
There's no seat limit by state mandate. So certain English class, you only got 25 kids in the class.
Yeah.
There's no seat rule for art class. So what happens is they get overcrowded easier.
So you load up with 50 kids if you have the space.
You're not trying to do it, but literally it becomes like I have to keep these classes low. So naturally those get higher.
Okay.
Like it's one of those
Yeah, my friend is an art teacher for middle school, and she says like half the kids there aren't even paying attention to like the art curriculum. They're just there as like a free hour just to like hang out and chill until their next class. And she gets frustrated because she really wants to like push these kids and like attempt at it or try it, but they're just like, no.
Yeah, it's a school by school scheduling thing. So like the best thing to do, like what we have in my high school, I can say that we're good at is we have a lot of career options so that kids don't just take art for no reason. Like, cause we have aerospace, we have construction, we have horticulture where kids are outside gardening, we have culinary.
Because that rolls into
that allows them to pick what they like. And
I feel like that kind of rolls into people getting to unnecessary student debt in college because they'll take art all throughout high school and then want to get an art degree in college. And I don't want to be stereotyped as an art degree is a useless degree, but I want to say more times than not, they're just saddled with debt and not being able to make enough money to pay that student loan.
Well, also the art degrees, me personally, my daughter will not get an art degree. I don't care.
Well, the thing with
sorry, but no, I'm not paying for that.
Because those degrees, though, is that like you need to do a lot of work on the side. You can't just get an art degree and go work just like somebody that got a biology degree.
Right. It's no 9 to 5. You have to put in the work yourself.
Exactly. You need to have your.
You have to be creative in how you.
Yeah, you need to make connections. You need to do all this art on the side. If you're a business major, you need to like try to have your own startup on the side. So when you actually want to go get a job, you have something to show for yourself. You know,
that applies to most things, though.
Yeah, for everything you have to work hard. But I think some people are like, "Oh, you have a literature degree. Oh, you have an art degree. You can't do anything with that." I mean, you can, but you have to be one of those people that
it's not set in stone what you can do.
Yeah, you do things on the side extra for.
But when you do find something and it works, then you're doing so much better than everyone else.
My thing is this: why can't you do all those things on the side and then take a couple art classes?
Exactly, self-taught.
Yeah, I'm saying for the people that genuinely want to go for that degree, they have to understand that to stand out, they need to do things on the side for that.
Can you tell me a scenario where you had a situation with a student or a group of students and it was just so asinine, whatever happened, that you couldn't laugh in front of them, but afterwards you couldn't stop laughing?
Wow, there's a lot of those.
We want to hear all of them.
Who defecated themselves?
I'm trying to think. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good one.
I have a dark sense of humor, so things
Go
like
for it, man.
that shouldn't be funny to me are hilarious.
Oh, I
You're on
love
it,
like
bro.
I
We
find it
love
so
the
funny
dark
when
sense.
people like get hurt in like shows or something,
So-
like Wipeout.
What I find really funny, sometimes they're like,
I'm like
I find
scared.
it really funny. Like the kids are supposed to be like really tough, right? That like they talk a lot, and then like when they get in a physical altercation,
They curl up.
and then when they just don't come to the show like they say they were, and like the most random person you never thought. Like it's funny to me. Like I don't condone it, but it's like, and then the crazy thing is,
If
they
you're gonna
come to
talk
the
all that
office,
talk,
like,
back it up.
Yeah, like all pumped up, like you didn't do it. Like
You got knocked the hell out, bro.
and then you hear the guy on the phone, like, yeah, man, I got in a fight with so-and-so, man. I beat the crap out of it. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm like, yeah. Mom.
secretly watching on the sidelines, waiting for something to happen so they could prove themselves, and then you have to do your actual job.
I guess that's the advantage of being a young administrator, is that you're not too far removed from the generation.
Like this is so silly. Like,
Right.
like there's one kid, I'm like, just stop talking crap. They'll stop jumping you. I promise. Like, just stop running your mouth. Like he couldn't help it.
Like think about it. What, you were 25 when you became a teacher, right? 23. So think about it. 5 years removed from high school.
Yeah, that's
You're
like,
a teacher. So you're not too far removed from the generation where you can just be like, listen, I know what, like in your head, you're like, I know what you're doing. Stop being a complete moron.
Yeah, it's, you want to say that sometimes, and like it's not appropriate. So like you just laugh it off and like give the advice. There's certain kids who are like, honestly, there's certain kids who I will spend the whole day with. I'm like, you know what? We need to fix you now, because if you don't learn this now, and I'll sit down and I'll make them read books about themselves. Like, sit down and read this. That's your punishment today. Wait, why? I'm not letting you go to IS. You're gonna enjoy that. You're going to like the notoriety of like, yeah, I got in trouble when I'm in IS.
Does detention in IS work?
For some kids.
Okay.
So I look at it like this. You have your regulars who like it better than class. And whenever a kid likes it better than class, I wonder what's the underlying learning issue that they're ashamed of.
Okay.
yeah.
That's the first thing in my mind. Like, you like this.
See, and I feel like a lot of educators don't think that way. They just think they're a problem.
He's the troublemaker. He's the clown of the class.
They don't think that maybe, nobody's the house. They don't think maybe, even in these rich neighborhoods, the parents could just be negligent and not like as far as violent or anything, just not giving the kids any attention.
Yeah, time of day, or how was your day at school? Like none of that, like comfort, like
none of that. So it could be all these underlying issues, and they're acting out in school, and they're just putting it, oh, you're just a problem child, whatever, stick them in detention, and that's it, and actually still continue to pass him or her
right
until they hit the real world, and then they get hit by a brick wall.
Yeah, because here's what thing that happens. Like, going repeatedly to detention is just simulating jail. That's all you're doing. You're simulating jail. A security guard picks you up from your classroom and walks you to the little room where you sit there on timeout all day.
And you're humiliated by everyone.
What happens in the real world? You can't hold a job because you're...
Okay, let me ask you. In today's time, so you're in IS. All you do is just study because you can't be on your phone or anything, right?
Hold on, guys. What does IS mean?
Internal suspension.
And what?
Internal suspension.
So basically, you're suspended from school, but you have to still come to school and serve it within the school.
It's not bad enough to go home, but it's bad enough where you can't be in class anymore. Because
Okay.
you're disrupting the learning.
So it's like basically a 1 week long 8:30 to 2 o'clock suspension.
Or for the day.
Or for the day.
See, like you're
Or
saying, I feel like
detention,
that's terrible
suspension.
for kids, because that just isolates them. Like, use that time to teach them why what they did was wrong and have them understand that, instead of putting them in an isolating space.
I personally think if you got to suspend somebody, I would rather them be in IS
Then go home.
Because
But I mean, as far as detention and all of that, like he's saying, like that's humiliating. Just like when we were little, if somebody did something wrong, oh, go sit in timeout, and then everyone's like, ooh, this person went to timeout.
works.
Like,
but timeout is what, 10 minutes? You go sit in the corner.
but it's still something that is embarrassing for them, and then it makes them, think differently.
But still,
Did you guys ever get put into
they
timeout?
still will repeat their same mistakes. You got to show them that, okay, you want to do the right thing, then.
But after a certain amount of time, that kid keeps doing that. Like I've seen it in my own classrooms when I was little. Like the kid would be put into timeout every single day and get the red punch card and all of this stuff and silent lunch, literally for years, because we were all in the same classroom, K through 5. Nothing fixed, and we realized it was because his parents were getting a divorce, and he was upset, and he didn't want to do anything, and he wanted to lash out because he wasn't getting the attention from his divorced parents, which is so upsetting. Like that's what you need to focus on instead of just putting them in timeout 100 times.
So Arta, how many detentions did you get in high school?
We didn't have detention.
Oh, that's right. You guys are bougie.
But I did go to detention in middle school for getting into a fight. Not my fault, but I defended myself.
Did you win?
Ooh.
Yeah, I guess so. I won. I pushed him over the table.
Okay.
He said, "Do you want to see a magic trick?" And then he like pulls apart buttered bread and like sticks it on top of my head, and I just like launch him over the table, and we both go to detention.
Okay, good. He deserved it.
Yeah.
But then after detention, we became best friends. So I guess it kind of
That's always happens.
yeah. We became really close friends afterwards.
Mato, what about you? How many detentions?
I'm not sure, but I really wasn't someone that would get in trouble. Like, even if I was like fooling around, like I was always seen so innocently in everyone's eyes.
So you knew the line not to cross. You would teeter on the line.
Although my elementary school was on some next level shit. Like, I remember my 4th grade teacher told all of us girls that we like were going to hell, and like we had black hearts, and like like the girls in my class were crazy though. I'll give them that. Like, I had birthday parties where girls would try to like suffocate the other one in the pool, and they'd like take the other one's bathing suit and like throw it on a there's like a lot that goes on.
Sounds like some hazing.
You sounds like one of those bad high school movies.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun, but for sure, like we were crazy.
So
John, I have a question for you.
I had 2 detentions.
Oh, go.
All right,
Finish your detention.
I had 5 detentions, but I served 2 of them because I stapled the other 3 to 1 and served it all together.
Nice. Genius.
A little Scotch tape and like kind of stuck it to like where like and like compressed it.
You just like put it
like, oh, here's my detention.
Yeah.
See, those are skills that schools don't teach. You gotta like learn those things.
See, my detention. What was it? One time I was part of a detention where the entire class got detention.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, that's the
I
worst.
was just guilty by association. The other one was I forgot my school ID and they were doing random ID checks. And I had that one day I forgot my school ID and I got detention. So
yeah, I think if I ever did get detention, it was like in high school, and it's because our shorts had to be like finger length, and like I'm not wearing finger length. Like, you know, like
we didn't ask Arma how many detentions she had.
It's okay. Didn't have any.
Yeah, guys, detention didn't exist, but I did get in trouble a lot in elementary school, and I mean a lot, to the point where they would call my dad to come pick me up because I talked too much in the middle of class and I was distracting other people, which is like my life now because I already talk too much now too. But I would like, to the point where like the teacher would be teaching and I would keep tapping people and be like, oh my god, did you watch the episode of like
really
Ball Z last? Oh yeah, I talked so much. I was chatty Cathy at like 6 years old.
So was Beta, you know, so it makes so much sense.
But our high school didn't have detention, but one time I did get in trouble because we had a psycho math teacher, Arta knows who, and the whole thing of like when you stand up, your fingertips are supposed to touch like your shorts, and apparently mine were like an inch too short. And so she made me get up in front of everyone in class and gave me a ruler and told me in front of everyone to measure my shorts and then measure how big my thighs are and then compare it and explain to everyone why I was wearing something that was like half an inch too short, which was so disgusting. And
that's borderline sexual assault.
I know, it was ridiculous.
There's a lot wrong with that.
And she's a woman too.
And she's a woman, and she was crazy.
Sexual assault doesn't discriminate.
That's true.
She was crazy, and that's like the
following on to this whole detention thing, John. I had a question for you. I know you're in high school, but they get rowdy sometimes. And in America, there's a lot of lawsuits and whatnot. People get sued. Now, I'm wondering, like, in terms of discipline, like disciplining these kids, like how far do you guys go in far discipline? Because I'll say, like, in Iran, there's no detention, nothing like that. You'll get a straight up like hit on the body, hit face, like kotak means like a hit with like a ruler, like they will like they still to this day do that. They still hit
it's
you.
It's a little outdated, but I see where he's going.
Sometimes they still do it.
To clean up his question a little
it works because a lot of the kids are disciplined. They like they learn their mannerisms through that way. So like I know here, like you can't do that. You can't touch a kid because it's so sensitive. Like,
but you could touch a kid as far as like to break up a fight or something.
But I mean, like say they're just disrupting, and like you just gotta just shut that.
You have to touch them to break up a fight, but it's like,
and I think that may be the extent of it.
You're supposed to be quite delicate with it.
Right, you can't just like body slam them off the other kid.
You can't push them over the table. Like,
you poke a kid, you're getting like 30 phone calls from parents.
Here's the thing, yeah, I mean, to an extent, yes, but like we're protected. It's really the school board that gets the lawsuits.
I feel like even if you raise your voice nowadays as a teacher, like the kid will go home and cry to mommy and daddy.
No.
I've heard.
Again, I also think that depends on the neighborhood you're teaching in.
Exactly. For
Yeah.
sure. I had
Okay.
friends who like went to school with me and their moms would, you know, be like those moms that would come in for like helping with different things, and as soon as something would go wrong, they'd go run to their parents and be like,
Yeah,
you
because
know.
that depends on the individual. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Since we're having a light conversation about that, one of the funniest things I ever did was in middle school. I used to sell test answers in clear pens.
Wait, what?
I used to buy those RSVP pack of pens, the clear ones, and then I stole the teacher's test answer booklet, and I would type the answers on in size like 3 font, and then put them in the pen capsule and sell the pen for $5.
Oh
for a
my!
geography test.
You had a business mindset from the get-go.
Yeah,
like,
You know, I got one to top that. I got one to top that. Yeah. I would charge $50 to Photoshop report cards.
Ooh, see?
And I would fix the GPA too. And also consider that I Photoshop your last report card and calculate the GPA accordingly.
Right.
oh my God.
I remember one time my teacher like left the room to use the bathroom or something, and I just went into his desk and I found the exam answers for like the final for like all grades that he was teaching. I just took all of them, took a copy of each, gave them to different classes depending on who I knew.
Oh my God.
Hey.
That's interesting.
You had gold in your hand.
Why do you think we have this like mentality to like kind of cut corners, or like if it's easy to like cheat or something, then we go
It's
for
America. That's what America's based on.
Listen.
It's the country that
Honestly, I think at that point I just thought it was fun. I was
It is
16.
not
I was
my
in high school. I was like, you know.
I look at it, it's not my responsibility as a high school student to control whether you're studying or getting good grades. That is the teachers, and that's your parents' responsibility.
My job is to get it done.
My job is you pay me $50. You got the report card you wanted.
Were you photoshopping your own, or were you actually doing your work?
No.
Okay.
I remember I would get to the class early if we had a test, and you know how they had those stand-up cardboard things.
Yeah.
I would get there early and stand up my thing and start writing the answers like on the bottom real quick before the teacher got. So I had it right there. So like I would just keep glancing.
I also had a system where I would sit. This was especially because I love history, so I would sit in front of history class, and the people behind me would want to cheat off of me. So I would have toe taps, tap it once for A, twice for B, and so on and so forth. Can a teacher really catch on to that? Something subtle like that?
I think a lot of teachers put a blind eye
If
to
they
it.
cheated when they were in high school. Yeah.
I had like a math teacher who loved me and like blatantly would see me
I laugh
looking
at
at
some of
someone
this
else's.
What was that, Mata?
Not to repeat.
I think certain teachers definitely hold a blind eye to it. There's teachers that like they clearly see the whole class as like helping each other.
Well,
I
would
there's
say
phones out, but there's.
I used to have randomized tests, like not just A, B, A, B. So here's the thing. Here was my thing. I would label the test A, B, A, B, right? They also had a number on it, and I was going off the number, and the kids thought it was the A, B, A, B.
So they were trying to cheat.
Multiples of 3 were the different tests. So the kids like, ooh, I got next to a B. I'm gonna copy of his. Like, you failed. You set up. You're an idiot. And I would let them just copy each other. Like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
So I used to do it like that. Natural consequences.
You think teachers let things go when the curriculum is like just nonsense? If the curriculum is genuinely just not important?
The curriculum is never nonsense. It's how the teacher applies it.
Okay.
There's no subject that's just straight nonsense. If they make it nonsense, make anything interesting because they're broad topics. It's like critical thinking and da 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 da. Like
right.
How fun you make that is up to you.
Right. So that was a lot. I feel like we could go another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a deep topic.
Do we have any final questions for John?
I have one final question.
Tell me.
Do you think educators should be getting paid more?
100%.
I
I think they should be getting paid more, which will then create a more competitive market.
Right.
To then attract people who are experts in other fields that now can make more money as educators, and then teach those people the skill set to be good educators. And I think we'll just overall push the bar up.
So you're saying that they should be looked at the same tier as, say, doctors or lawyers, a high tier profession.
Well, that's why you get to this point where teachers have to truly love what they do to get paid that minuscule salary.
There's a lot of people that love it that leave and do successful things. Like I think we're at a 40% rate of teachers leaving the first 5 years, and then they go and excel at other professions. So if we could, like pharmaceutical reps, lawyers, they go back to school and get their doctorate degrees in this, and because they don't see the upward gain of staying in education. It's the best job right out of college.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You get great benefits.
You got good benefits.
What are you making now? 40,
health insurance.
41 out the gate?
You make like $45,000, like right out of college. Like it's a good starter job. The problem is most growth in the business world is within the first 5 years of salary. Like if you go to a new job, whatever, you're crushing it, you're going to get bonuses and fast growth early to keep you there. And in teaching, the growth happens the last 5 years, not the first 5 years. So what happens in those first 5 years, your good talent leaves all the time. It's a revolving door of talent.
That's nice. Even now with that bill that DeSantis just signed, giving the new teachers that have been hired within the past 3 years like a higher salary, a raise, that's not fair to the teachers that have been around for 10 plus years. Like all their hard work is now equal to the amount of a person straight out of college who has no experience in that. It's not fair.
Because if they don't do that, we won't have teachers.
Exactly, because they want to attract new young people, right? Then
we can't find them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Exactly. So I'm gonna wrap it with one question for everyone. Arta, what is one thing you miss about elementary school?
Nap time.
You had nap time?
Oh, yeah, I hated nap time.
Okay. Matta, what about you?
We had like ice cream trucks come to lunch for us and stuff, and I miss that every Friday.
You guys went to nice schools, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know.
Ice cream
sandwiches, that's where it was at.
Mine was the class birthday parties. Every time someone had a birthday, the parents would come and bring cupcakes and pizza.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Half the day was gone celebrating someone's birthday.
True.
Yeah, I remember that. Me personally, it was a Mexican pizza day. That was a fire day. What about you, John?
Field day.
I forgot about
field day. I forgot.
Do you know how many participation trophies I have?
Not gonna lie, my lazy, unathletic self hated field day. I mean, every field day, I would pretend I was 6 and my mom wouldn't send me to school.
There was one game in particular that I loved. I forgot the name of it, but it was like there's a bunch of beanie bags in the middle, and everyone had to run in the middle and grab their beanie bag to get to their side or something. I forgot the name.
The sack race you're talking about?
No, that's the.
It was like
you're talking about.
That's the potato sack race. Yeah.
It was called like garbage or something.
Yeah, you collect this bean bag to get back to your base.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
That was fun.
So John, in the spirit of what we're trying to do here, last week's challenge was everybody's going to run 3 miles a day for good health. So that's physical health. What challenge do you have for us this week that we can all?
20 minutes of meditation a day.
Okay, so that's looking at our mental health now.
Yeah. So last week was physical. This week is mental.
You guys can keep up on it with our Instagram stories. We've been reporting
daily posts.
Yeah,
you can follow us, and you can also join in with us. This is the final day.
Use hashtag
Noosh challenge.
So we're gonna in our posts with this pod, we're gonna tag John's socials on here as well. John, what's your Instagram tag for the audience?
It is at IamJextra. So IamJextra.
Okay, and we'll tag that for everybody. Make sure you follow his page. He has excellent content on there. It really makes you think, especially on the stories that he puts up, the different entrepreneurial thought process and, different things that he's doing.
And for our viewers thinking about getting into the education system, I'm sure maybe you can shoot John a DM and ask him any questions about that.
Yeah, definitely. John, I feel like John's an open book. You can ask him about anything.
Yeah, I'm going to share my opinion.
This man has been through life. Okay. And as for us, as usual, please like, follow, subscribe, share. Give us any feedback. More than welcome the feedback that you give us. We'll see everybody next week.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Have a great week, everyone.
And thank you, John, for coming on the show.
Thank you, John. Yeah. We appreciate your time. That was really helpful, and we learned a lot.
I learned a lot from you guys too today.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.